I mean, maybe the voice is so high today because that is the epitome of swiping left. All right, we not compatible no more. Swipe left. What's going on, y'all? Nick here, coming to you with another video. So check this one out, y'all. We have this video from The Hill. It's called Jessica and Amber Debate Dating Apps. All right, Millennial, Gen Z, couples meeting online. What do you guys think about this video as a whole? Like, do you think that, people are opting out of organic, relationships, organic, meetups, and in favor of the actual online dating? And if so, do you think that's actually a net positive on society as a whole? So, all right, let's get right into this, y'all.
Ready, set, swipe? A very new controversial study shows that the number of Americans who found a partner through an online website or a dating app has increased significantly since 1980 from 0 to over 50%, while other avenues of meeting someone, like through friends and family, work, school, in your neighborhood, or at a bar, has declined. So, Amber, what do you think is the best way to meet someone these days? Is it through an algorithm that considers a lot of data points and personal preferences tailored for you, designed to give you a perfect person what you want? Or do you think we have to go back to the older traditional ways?
Yeah, sure, you can probably guess where I'm going to go with this, but let me just start by saying I did meet my husband on a dating app, so I'm going to sound like a total hypocrite. But I think, generally speaking, it's better to meet someone in person. And the problem that I have with dating apps is I think they really dehumanize the experience and lead to these very impersonal interactions that lead people to feel like the person on the other end of the screen is disposable. There's so many options on dating apps. I probably went on 100 plus dates before I met my husband.
I think that's a very good point that this girl is bringing up. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, think about it, you guys. If anybody ever been on a dating app, you literally just swiping, and these individuals that, who are they exactly? These people you're talking to, there is no actual real connection. I know you can sign, you can fill out these apps with all your interests and all this stuff, but truth be told, there are so many people in the world, and I like the fact that she brought up the fact of there's options. Options, I think, is actually the biggest reason why dating is dead today. When I say the word dating, I just want you guys to understand, right? I'm just talking within the context of this conversation, right? Like me, who I believe in the Bible, I actually don't even believe in dating as a whole. But within the context of this conversation, the organic meetups, right? Because back in the day, you gotta think about it, right? Women, the amount of men that she really interacted with, I mean, how much was it really? I mean, outside of her father, her siblings, you know what I'm saying? If you go a little bit further down time, you had, maybe boys within school, but that was it. That was it. But today, we have a society of a whole bunch of women where just because you have Instagram, just because you have a Facebook, it doesn't matter. Literally, there are so many people sliding into your DMs. And what that could do is give you a false, inflated sense of who you actually are and what your worth is in society. I mean, a woman today, I don't even like using numbers, but just indulge me for this for a second, right? You can have someone who's perhaps maybe they average at best. Maybe they set a 7. But if you got a bunch of dudes constantly sliding into your DMs, you might actually think to yourself that, hey, shit, I'm the baddest shit since sliced bread. You might actually think you were 10. And this is what actually is happening. You have a bunch of women today that actually have a false sense of reality. They think they're the hottest shit in the world. And therefore, because of that, now they feel like, oh, now I deserve the absolute best. So what they do is keep swiping, swipe. And this, as a result, it's just like, can you imagine the mindset of such a woman? The mindset of such a woman that all they could do is just swipe. They could just bypass the next guy. Why do you think the women today have these high standards? You get what I'm saying? Why do you think this exists? Maybe it's because they have all these options. You get what I'm saying? But before, if you just trusted your father, right? The father may, hey, I think you should marry this guy. I know some of you guys who are not biblically minded, you might think that's oppressive, the patriarchy and all this other bogus nonsense. No, I mean, Who else would have your best interest in mind? Wouldn't it be your father? The only man I'm talking about in a good household, right? We're not going to talk about outliers. I hate when people bring random outliers. But in a normal household, wouldn't it be that man who does not look at you sexually? I mean, this man literally birthed. He partook in you coming into this world. He doesn't even look at you sexually. Wouldn't that man have your best interest in mind? Just think about that. But now we don't even value the father's, input. All right.
Over the past 5-10 years. And I think people, because they have so many options, end up always looking for that next best thing. And I think it's important to remember that love is not just some algorithmic a decision beyond your control. It's not a case where if I have exactly the right things in common with somebody that we're going to fall in love. Love in a lot of ways is very much a conscious decision and a choice that you make every day to work with somebody and be with somebody and put in the dedication to making that relationship work. And dating apps promise to give you your so-called soulmate or perfect match. But until you actually meet someone in person and see how you're able to communicate, I don't think that those things matter quite as much.
Man, this girl is dropping so much facts, y'all. Hey, she's borderline preaching. She's right. A lot of problem with these apps is that, yeah, sure, you can plug in your interest, but okay, I'll give you, this is very, very basic, guys, but hear me out. If I like basketball, how many other people in this world like basketball? Think about that. And just because we both like basketball, does that necessarily mean that we're compatible? A lot of times what would make a good relationship, or rather a long-lasting relationship, is not necessarily what you guys have in common. Yeah, and major stuff like in terms of your beliefs, absolutely. You guys have to be in one accord in terms of your morals, your beliefs. We get that. But just because you have, even at that, just because we both may have a similar religion, does that mean we're necessarily compatible? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Truth be told, the biggest factor, and this is coming from a married man, from my personal experience, it seems like the biggest thing that actually helps a relationship last was the willingness of both parties to actually compromise to some degree. There's certain things that my wife, when she met me, she literally said that she doesn't like beards. And I told her, hey, you young, you don't know what the hell you want. Lo and behold, I would never forget, I think for my graduation, I shaved, I didn't even shave it all the way off, right? But I trimmed it extremely low. And she's looking at me like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what the hell did you just do to your beard? Why? Because she learned to love it. She learned to love it. People, they grow over time. The things that people like one day, they might not like it tomorrow, and vice versa. They might not like something today, they might end up loving it tomorrow. So just because you meet somebody and yeah, you compatible because you guys have similar interests, that doesn't mean two shits in the grand scheme. But is this person willing to actually grow and change over time? That speaks to someone's willingness to work with you because they invested in you. You get what I'm saying? They may end up trying to learn, which my wife did, learning how to cook food just for you, learning how to cook your food. But this idea that this algorithm, the algorithm is going to somehow know exactly what you love to the T, and it's going to match you up with another individual. Nah, I don't buy it.
Obviously, I've made it clear where I stand by waiting the fourth response in that tweet that has apparently been very controversial, but I welcome hearing people's opinions on this. I find it fascinating, but I think we spend so much of our social time online, and when I wrote that, I didn't actually mean on like a website dedicated for dating or even a dating app. I guess, would you consider it through friends of friends if you meet someone via Instagram? Like you see them in a video or in a picture or on TikTok on your For You feed, on Twitter. I met my current boyfriend through Twitter because we're interested in the same kind of economics. And I came up on his feed because professors that he follow were liking a post where I was promoting my new podcast and Stephanie Kelton's book, The Deficit Myth. that's how we met, was through a tweet. And so I think there are innocent ways you can meet someone online. I don't want to say innocent. There are organic ways you can meet someone online without intentionally being there to date. I'm like the worst online dater. I've had the apps. I think I've gone on 1 or 2 dates ever from an app. So I'm critical of the dating app culture. I think the next best thing phenomena is a huge problem with modern dating. But I also think that meeting someone online is okay and can happen organically, but not be on an intentional dating website.
There's definitely an important distinction to be made there. You're exactly right. And I know plenty of people who have also met their significant others that they are now married to on Twitter. I have dated people from Twitter, and it's definitely a more organic experience than what happens on a dating app, to be sure. I think the proliferation of dating apps, as we see a decline in young people either having sex or having relationships, should have us asking questions about whether these things are doing their intended purpose. And we also have to remember, too, that it is not in the interest of the company that owns these apps for you to delete them and not be on them. They say, for example, on Hinge, that it's the dating app meant to be deleted. But if everyone who was on Hinge found a partner and deleted the app, obviously they wouldn't be making any money. And there has been some studies that show that these apps...
Wow, I don't know what it is about this girl, but she's dropping facts the whole way. This whole video. I think she's making a very strong point. I mean, it's almost like the dentist, right? Like if you go to the dentist and if they were really telling you the truth and they were really for your benefit as they claim they were, why is it that you have to constantly go back and it seems like your teeth is always getting worse? Now, this hasn't happened to me, but I've heard the horror stories with a lot of individuals when they go to these dentists, right? It seems like they always lying to you because essentially that's how they make their money. They need you to come back to them, right? But in this situation, think about what she just said here, right? I mean, it was very profound. I mean, these dating apps, they don't want you to actually delete the app as much as they claim they do. Because if they did actually want you to delete the app, I mean, how would they continue? How would they actually be able to thrive as a business? So then here's what I really want to think, what we got to think about is that these questionnaires that you need to fill out on these dating apps, are they actually for your good? Are they actually designed to help you meet that person? You get what I'm saying? Now, I'm not here to crap on, on people that meet up online. I'm really not, because I do know I've heard a lot of successful stories where people have met their wives and vice versa. People met husbands online. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with it, but I do believe that there is a lot of issues that are involved, especially again when it comes to just the mindset that is bred when you have way too many options. I do believe it just creates a false sense of reality and also people's ability to actually communicate. I even go on the side of the men. Many men today aren't really men. I mean, they don't even have the boldness to even speak to women. They don't have the boldness anymore to speak to women. What happened to the boldness of actually going to a woman's father and asking him, would it be all right with you if I actually talk to your daughter? What happened to that? That whole communication is gone because, I mean, for the most part, women are not actually with their fathers on these dating apps. They're not. These girls are on these dating apps in private. So here you are, you're having this whole drawn out conversation with this woman, right? The father doesn't even know of this interaction. So how disrespectful is that? And again, some of you may not find it disrespectful, but it is highly disrespectful, guys. You're not even speaking to the father, you're just speaking directly to the woman. And then women wonder why they make so many bad choices. Why the body count keep rising. Yeah, I mean, you don't have any type of trusted man, your brother, father, uncle, whoever, that can vet these guys that you're speaking to. Because again, this is the problem. Again, I'm not here to crap on it, right? Like, I'm not here to paint a broad brush and just say that all online interactions are bad. I don't think so. But at the same time, we really got to question, like, is it truly as good as we think they are? Or do they present problems within society that are genuine concerns?
Don't show you exactly what your perfect match would be per se, but what they think you want to see. It's kind of the equivalent to how when I'm on Instagram, I keep getting videos of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce going out to dinner in New York City. And I don't actually want this content, but for some reason I feel myself being drawn to it all the time. And I wish Instagram would stop showing it to me, but yet I always click on it. And I think that's kind of a similar phenomenon to how people behave on dating apps.
Yeah, I want to stop dating guys like this, but I keep swiping right on them. Why is this happening? I think you're right. They always advertise like designed to be deleted, but are you really? Would you still make money if that was the case? It's a good point. They could be giving us duds on purpose on those apps. So just scroll Twitter, guys. Just find someone on your For You feed. Obviously, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are taken, but there are many other options on your feed that you will find. I also like that you say, I've dated people from Twitter before, as if they're just always a Twitter person when you meet them there. But I think the reason we've seen an increase in dating online since 1980 is because that is when the internet was created. I don't know if it's that people prefer the internet, or right now we're so obsessed with being social on the internet and using social media that's why we've seen it skyrocket. Maybe we'll see it plateau as excitement around being social on the internet.
Well, here's a point she's actually mentioning that's actually true. I mean, think about it, right? Why is it increasing? Well, for one, how much shaming that goes about. I'm sure some of you have seen it. Have you seen the videos of people just going to work out in the gym, and then you have men being shamed just for looking at them, whatever the case. Mind you, they dress crazy, but we live in a society where like men are constantly shamed just for being men, right? I mean, you're literally dressed in underwear, right? Why did you dress that way? We know damn well why you dress that way. We all know you're trying to show the cheeks for the whole world to see. And as much as you're mad that this man at the gym is looking at you, but yet you're going to post it in TikTok and Instagram so the whole world can look at you. So that's the hypocrisy there. But again, if these men are being shamed for just being men, just looking at women, which is in their nature, then of course now what they're going to resort to is that, okay, you know what, let me take the online route. So at least if I'm gonna, be denied or whatever, it's just a swipe. There is no really real personal connection there. You don't have to even deal with the rejection. I mean, you won't even know. You don't even know if you get rejected or not. I mean, truth be told, if you guys both swiped right or you both selected each other. That part but you won't really know if one party disapproves of the other. You won't know. That's the nature of the dating apps.
Using social media declines. Maybe we're in a flux period right now, and slowly, as all of our platforms are moving towards less personal networks and more towards media content from someone you've never met, or it's getting commercialized and you're getting pushed a lot of ads and shopping. I think people are getting tired of that kind of content on social media and may pull back and may meet people more in person again. I don't know. But the internet hasn't always been a factor. It became a factor in 1980. So I don't want to confuse correlation with causation here in the data.
Yeah, I do feel like the recent spike that we see on that graph is probably a side effect of the fact that people just don't engage in their community as much. Social media tends to be sort of the meeting place for people. I mean, people don't go to church as often. They don't go to community centers for whatever reason. I mean, people really did used to go to bowling alleys and bingo and all of these little small town events to meet up with their friends or meet up with family friends. And I think one of the underrated reasons why it is good to meet people through friends or through family is that you can kind of filter out who might not share the same values as you. And you also have a rating on that person's potential safety. Obviously not a fail-safe, but there have been some situations of friends of mine who have gone out on online dates and have found themselves in some pretty unsafe situations. So the safety aspect of this cannot be ignored as well.
Yeah, I have been unsettled in the past with recommendations from friends as to who I should date. Just, really? You think this is a person that I would be interested in? I think sometimes friends' recommendations can cause rifts in friend groups. I don't know, I get afraid to date in the friend group. But to your point about being in bowling and in social settings where you meet strangers and you befriend strangers, it's weird because it's dangerous to meet people online. We grew up with our parents saying, don't meet strangers on the internet. And now we summon them through these dating apps to go out alone with them in intimate settings, which the more you think about it, the more concerning it is, which is why most people don't spend a lot of time thinking about it. But now we have this.
You see, and this goes right back to the father, right? Or some type of trusted man in your life. I mean, why would it be dangerous? I mean, it's still dangerous. Your father could, in theory, not know who this guy is that he actually is recommending, and he may actually recommend a dud. The potential is there. But I mean, it's severely lowered. And this is the reason why it's been successful within cultures in the East for years. I mean, the father is the one that chooses the husband. And many times, because also, too, what we fail to realize is that, I mean, the incentive behind that was that literally both parents would know each other, right? And when you marry somebody, there's always this understanding that you're not just marrying a person, you're marrying into their family. So if a father was recommending someone to you, I mean, he would know that, okay, now I'm not only talking to the boy that, is interested in my daughter, I'm also talking to the entire family. Sometimes treaties were actually formed because of marriages. So these are the kind of things that we need to actually take into consideration. And here's what's also important too, right? This is why in the beginning of the video I said I don't even believe in dating, right? Because do I believe in this period where the man and the woman in question should be able to talk to each other? Absolutely. But I don't believe in dating in the sense that men should be, that man and the woman, right? That are, considering one another. I don't think they need to be off on their own. I don't think they need to be off on their own. I mean, if you just examine some of the cultures in the East, the real way they always done it was, for one, well, you can even go to the Bible. Really, there is no real courting. There is no courting at all prior to the marriage. So that's one. So there is no alone time. So in other words, if you think about it, that man and that woman, they should always be in an environment where the family, the tribe, the community, however way you want to name it, is always present. Therefore, in that scenario, you don't gotta worry about danger and all this other stuff. Or am I meeting? No. If you have a community, a tribe, both family members are observing the two individuals in question that are about to get married at all times, then now everybody can vet the character of both the man and the woman. So again, you can see why these cultures in the East were very successful. But here's the thing, right? I want to land the plane by saying this, right? Fundamentally, what we gotta come to the conclusion is that, online dating, right, which is very prolific, especially in the West. And that's not to say that these things don't exist in the East. We already know it's spreading all over the world. But by and large, the West have pushed a very modern, concept of dating, right? And we can see that generally speaking, I don't believe it's working. I mean, divorce rate is as high as ever. I believe it's about 70% right now. You get what I'm saying? And why is this important? Because something is clearly not working. Now, I'm not here to paint a broad brush. I'm not here to say all online dating is bad. I'm not here to say that. That's not really my position to say. I will say this, though, that if I'm going to just stick to the Bible, which I do in this channel, I don't advise, meeting people online. I truly don't. I don't advise it. I recommend for you women, for a man to speak to your father and inquire about you, or your father present a man that he think is worthy to marry you. Period, point blank. And you, man, rather than you going to these dating apps, right? Which, truth be told, can you do it? Yeah, you could do it. But, I mean, what's the quality of women that you probably going to meet there? Again, I mean, what mindset does it breed when the women that you meet in literally could just swipe left at will? You get what I'm saying? By the time that she actually swipes right on you, Are you the only person she's talking to? Even when you are dating, if she's still on that website, are you still the only person she's talking to? How many other people she's speaking to? How many options does she have? So not only are you marrying somebody with that type of mindset, what that type of mindset is going to do when you bring it into your home? Is that going to be a mindset that's going to bring forth a peaceful home? I mean, maybe divorce is so high today because that is the epitome of swiping left. All right, we not compatible no more. Swipe left. That's something to consider. That's something to consider. I mean, this society today, I mean, the dating culture as a whole is extremely jacked. And I think by and large, it is due to the fact that people simply have way too many options. But I would love to hear from you guys. What do you guys think about this whole situation? Again, if you met your wife or your husband online, I'm not here to crap on you. That's not what the purpose of this video is about. But just because it works for you, is that something that you recommend for other people? Is that something that you see that it's better for society as a net positive? I'm not talking about isolated events. I'm talking about as a net positive. What society are we bringing forth? Right? Is it contributing to the hookup culture? Because now you have a bunch of people who are just simply meeting a bunch of strangers. They hook up for one night and then they go their separate ways. Is it contributing to long-lasting, sustainable relationship? These are the questions I have, and again, once again, chime in, put your comments down below. But with that being said, Nick over and out. The message sent. Jesus is king, y'all.